pot of coffee? Did you guys bring the coffee pot up?
We left the bottom downstairs.
I got one going.
Do. Nope. Yep. The Michael McDonald Doobie Brothers.
It's a good tune.
This is a real great tune. A lot of people don't like the Michael McDonald Doobie Brothers, but I love them.
I think they should take it to the streets.
I think they should too. It's apropos. Taking it to the streets. Peeps. Alright. That's a lot of fun.
Oh, we got a lot to discuss today.
A lot to discuss. Are we going to take it to the streets?
We'll try.
I got to see if Ralph is in.
We technically are taking it to the streets. We're taking it at least to the YouTube streets.
The YouTube streets.
So
Ralph should be coming in.
all right.
Waiting
Well,
on him.
as we bring Ralph in, we'll just say, hey, that this is Uneducated. It's Friday, and we are halfway through January now.
Yeah.
About half.
About half.
About halfway through January. And it's looking like we're off to a good start in 2022.
I would say so.
Yeah. I'm thinking that if Antichrist is not revealed this year, it could be within the next 3 years. I don't know. It's a strange situation out there. Who's that? Oh, that's Brandon's new phone. It's the Flippy. He's got a flippy top. You know, when you said you had a flip phone, I was like, I didn't even know they still made flip phones.
They do.
And you got one.
Yeah, a friend of mine has one.
Mm-hmm. It's nice. I'm just going to read real quick just to open us up. This is Proverbs chapter 31. This is the words to Lemuel.
Lemuel.
Mm-hmm. King Lemuel. And this is the words that his mother taught him. But I'm just going to read verses 8 and 9, and then I'll open up with our first topic, and then we'll run with it. So this is what he says. Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all the unfortunate. Open your mouth and judge righteously, and defend the rights of the afflicted and the needy. Now, obviously, that those two verses, what is going on?
What are you doing, Ralph?
I like the hat.
What's up?
I don't understand why you're wearing a hat in such nice climate.
Oh, it's Fort Bragg. It's beautiful, but it's cold.
It looks cold.
No, it looks freezing. You're doing some ice fishing today. We determined today that you're from Temecula, California. So welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
How is it in Temecula?
It is full of Southern California and so much better than Northern California.
Yeah, way gooder.
So, real quick, Ralph, we'll get back into this in a second, but now that you're on, how was your birthday this past week? Did you celebrate, and how'd that go?
It was actually really good, minus the fact that I hit 40, and I feel it.
That's a shame that you hit 40.
You're almost
You're
50.
just now turning 40.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, it's rough.
Quitter.
But anyway, no, we went up to Mendocino County for some wine tasting up there. They're real famous for some Pinots. And we went to a little old town called Mendocino, and then another one called Fort Bragg up in the Redwoods on the coast. It was gorgeous.
Yeah. And tell us what you needed to get into all those facilities, Ralph.
What do you need to do?
Good taste.
No, I'm looking for something else.
We're looking for something else there.
Oh, you mean a vaccine card?
Yeah.
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 You have to show
Don't
proof of
mention that
your.
too much on this channel. We'll get shut off again.
Did you have to show your Fauci ouchie proof?
Fauci card.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah, or sometimes they call him Mr. Science. Because he is science.
Yeah. So you did have to use your card, because I know you were telling me that you'd probably have to use your card, but you had to use it for every facility you went into, pretty much.
Actually, up there, no.
Oh.
They just trust that you have it. If they'll ask you.
So
Okay.
the Northern Californians are reasonable people. They're like more Oregonians or some Idahoians.
Ralph
No.
was saying no.
Oh yeah. Oh no, the Southern Californians are the ones that'll kill you in your sleep.
Oh.
No, Northern California is like San Francisco. That's like home of our vice president right now.
No, no, that's not Northern California.
Hillary Clinton?
Northern California is Redding, you silly head.
What are you talking about? Anyone who knows anything, Bakersfield in South is SoCal, and Bakersfield in North is NorCal.
No, I'm sorry. You have a whole part of your state above you that doesn't want to be there.
You mean Oregon? It is
More,
kind of like a
well, no,
state.
more Oregon is Redding and above.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go up there. There's a lot of pickup trucks and cowboys.
Oh, I've been to Humboldt. That's pretty scary.
Humboldt.
Stockton's kind of scary.
Yeah, Humboldt's got a place called Murder Mountain because all the weed growers up there kill people. There's a documentary on Netflix.
Oh, I might check that out.
What's it called? Do you remember?
Murder on the Mountain.
Murder Mountain.
Oh.
I've seen that.
Yeah, is it good?
That's good.
I think I've heard
Okay.
it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. It's a pretty good documentary.
All right. And it's on Netflix.
I believe it's Netflix.
Okay, well, I boycott Netflix, so I won't be able to watch it. I'll have to find it somewhere else.
Yeah, I have to get a different
Is
source.
there anything you don't boycott?
Jesus?
Jesus.
The Christian Network.
Yeah, actually, I do boycott some of the Christian Network stuff.
We like, what's this coffee called?
Huh?
Caruso's. He doesn't boycott.
Oh, yeah. Jazzy
Caruso's
Java?
Coffee.
Jamaica Me Crazy?
Jamaica me crazy.
Yeah, I just don't drink it, but I don't boycott it. All right, so here's what Proverbs chapter 31 says in verses 8 and 9. Open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of all the unfortunate. Open your mouth and judge righteously and defend the rights of the afflicted and the needy. This is probably huge today because we have a world where people are claiming to be helping the needy.
In a world where people claim.
Yeah, right. They seem to be fighting for the rights of the afflicted, and yet there's so much selfishness going on, and there's so much greed and corruption, not only in politics but in the world today, that it's hard for people to find who's really honestly fighting for the underdog and who's really fighting and defending the rights of the afflicted and the needy. So here's what I want to throw out. Okay, so just real quick, I have not seen this, but I heard that on the West Coast and on the East Coast, that stores are actually having food shortages. But I haven't seen that around here, other than I went to Giant Eagle in Chardon yesterday because April said, if you're out, because I had to go get my license, she said, if you're out, can you run to Giant Eagle real quick because their Nature's Basket chicken is on sale. So I went into the Chardon store, and literally it was empty. Like, the chicken place was empty. So somebody had gotten there and bought all the chicken. So then I went to Middlefield, and Middlefield had some, and so I got what they had, but I almost cleaned out what they had in Middlefield, and I just left a couple packs left. So, but other than that,
You're starting to see shortages in Middlefield.
well, no, well, I'm just gonna say, like, other than that, I don't know if I'm seeing shortages. So, are you guys seeing shortages, and what's going on? Like, what's going on in Tijuana up there? What is that again?
Temecula.
Temecula. What's going on in Temecula, Ralph?
So I can tell you, as far as where I live in California and where I was at during the holiday block leave in El Paso, there's not shortages per se, and I don't know that the shortage, if there are shortages, if it's real or like intentional. But I will say, like, restaurants, grocery stores, everything, prices have gone up and portions have gone down.
Yes, this has been going on for a while, but yeah, you're right, and that's
Like,
part of. Yeah, go ahead.
Dramatically this year, though. Really, really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of the whole inflation thing.
Uh-huh.
So inflation isn't happening, so the businesses are going, well, how do we make our profit line, profit margin? So we give you less and we charge you more, and we're still getting the same profit
So
margin.
used cars, gas, oil, There's a whole list of things. They've gone up anywhere from 28 to 47%, but yet inflation is only 7%.
Okay.
Can somebody tell me how that math works?
Which is still the highest that we've had since 1982. The 7%.
Yeah, correct. No, the 7% is still a horrific number. But how do you have everything go up in the double digits, almost mid double digits,
Right.
but yet overall inflation is up over 7%?
Right.
I'll tell you how.
Okay.
Because for the better part of 30 years, the way that they report it is say there's a thing that you buy and it goes up, skyrockets 30%. If you can find a substitute product that's available for the old price, even if it's an inferior product, they'll count that. So they'll only count the inflation on the lower thing. So they go across the board with all this, and that's how they come up with the 7%, because they're saying somehow there's enough things that are substitutable for the things that we normally like.
Yeah.
That those things have only gone up 7%. Now I
Gotcha.
still don't know how that math works out.
Okay.
But yeah, that's why. I mean, inflation's got to be close to 25% right now. Better than that. 30.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's going to cost the family. I think a family of four, $5,500 extra to get out of this year at 7%.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I know for a fact, and for some reason I can't seem to see it on the little labels, but when I walk into Aldi's now and I leave,
Yeah.
I'm leaving with, like, I used to walk in there maybe 25, 30 bucks and have like a lot of stuff.
No.
Now I'm going out with like 60 bucks and I don't have, I have like a box in my hand.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: in grocery stores, even though this block of cheese is $1.75, when you ring it up, it could be $2.15. You have to watch that. That's a big thing. I ran into that a lot at Walmart.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
Well,
So I
that's,
do self-checkout, and I look at everything.
oh, that's a good idea.
But they're labeling stuff wrong. Like, we buy the dog's Bill Jack, the frozen food.
Yeah.
It was labeled $9 or $8.50.
Uh-huh.
It rung up for 11 something.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
So
people don't catch. Some people don't catch that.
So if we could dabble into conspiracy road, these are things that, like, my mom, I want to say one of the OG conspiracy theorists, she would tell me about, because she would read all these books about things that are coming in the pipeline, and she said that this is like the early 90s when they started putting the barcodes on everything. And they were doing it in foreign countries because the price would change because their money would change so fast.
yeah.
So rather than putting prices on stuff and then having to go back and reprice it, they came up with the digital barcode thing. And then you may think that something it's happening to us now. Essentially, is what's going on. You may think that it's $1.97, but we're losing and changing value in money so fast that by the time you get to the front of the store, it's actually $2.98, and so that's what it's going to ring out as.
Yep.
So while you're at the store, the price is going to be changing on stuff. You don't even know what it's.
So it's
Nice.
like the gas station where you go up to the pump and it's 305, and then you start pumping and it just went to 315.
Yeah. No, they're going to change it. It's going to change because they got to keep up. Can you imagine? I mean,
No, it's not all products but I've had a lot that did that.
Yeah.
A lot.
well, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
You're just going to see more of it.
Okay.
But I mean, just think about the loss that you take. Say you're selling gasoline, and I mean, I know that's what goes in your tank. Okay, at the gas station in their big tanks, they purchased it at a price. So it's funny. The previous 4 years with our unspeakable leader, who really seemed to run things decently, but it must have been an illusion. When you remember when the price of gas would come down, but the price at the pump would stay up
Okay.
because they paid for that in their tank, right?
Right.
And so they're not going to take a loss.
Right.
So their price would stay up longer. Now with it going up, the stuff in their tank was cheaper yesterday.
Right.
But they're pumping up the price
Yeah.
as soon as they can.
Right.
It's like you were talking with Brandon earlier. Like nothing ever benefits us.
No.
They never put one of these things, and so it's going to constantly be the shaft
Yeah.
at all the different places now.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be gas.
Right.
It's going to be food, everything, services,
Right. Yeah.
because money is becoming,
King.
well, it's unrootable.
Yeah.
This is the thing. When the dollar becomes unrootable, it's whatever it wants to be today.
Well, I think our memory verse last week for our family was Matthew 24:4, and I don't want to sound too spiritual because that was just last week. Just last week we decided, hey, let's have this as a memory verse. This would be good. And I think it was 24:24, and it says, "You cannot serve two masters, for you will either love the one and hate the other, or you will
Someone didn't memorize their weekly verse.
you will love the one and hate the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve money, or you cannot serve God and wealth or mammon."
Yeah.
And so this whole concept of wealth is huge. And now listen, here's the thing, guys. We know what's going on here in Middlefield and in Tijuana. Temecula. And so we know what's going on here. But from what I hear, this is going on, and it's even worse in other countries.
I heard Australia's nice.
Nice, meaning they have a lot of food? That's because everybody's in quarantine.
They're in a bad way.
Yeah, there's some bad stuff. But, Europe and all the different places, Africa's struggling. I mean, obviously Africa's been struggling for a while with food problems, but so it's going around the world. So I'm just going to read this to you and tell me what you think. This is the third seal in Revelation chapter 6. I'll start in verse 5. "When he broke the third seal, I heard the third living creature saying, 'Come.' I looked, and behold, a black horse, and he who sat on it had a pair of scales in his hand. And I heard something like a voice in the center of the four living creatures saying, 'A quart of wheat for a denarius, and 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, and do not damage the oil and the wine.'" Now, I know that some people have different ideas about when these seals are being opened and when the tribulation is and all that stuff. But on a global scale, I mean, right now, China, that I've heard reports that China now has hoarded 50% of all grain, and they're continuing to hoard grain because they know something's coming.
Well, listen, they
ahead.
can have the grain because it's bad for you anyway.
Yeah.
That's true.
You want them carbohydrates.
We don't want the carbs.
We don't need the
Keep
carbs.
'em.
We'll eat the cows that they own over here in this country.
That's right.
So here's what I want to do. Just tell me your thoughts. Do you think we're in or coming into the opening or the breaking of this third seal? Is a global famine coming, and does anybody have an answer to it?
Can I ask a dumb question?
Go ahead.
What's the first 2 seals?
The first 2 seals are the rider of the white horse, which is he had a bow and a crown and was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer.
Okay.
And then the second seal was...
Would you say that one was fulfilled?
It's possible that it could have been. To conquer and to conquer. We don't know.
Guide me through this.
Okay. So the first seal, okay, so then I saw when the Lamb broke, this is chapter 6, verse 1. The Lamb broke one of the 7 seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures saying, as with a voice of thunder, "Come." I looked, and behold, a white horse, and he who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. So this is some kind of a ruler that has been given a crown or an authority, and he goes out to conquer. He goes out conquering and to conquer. Now, I don't know that that's been revealed who that specific person is, but could it have happened? It could have.
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
What if that's the Davos group? What if that's the Bilderberg?
It could be. It could be.
Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates and...
Is the reason you're saying this is because some biblical scholars and teachers are starting to say that possibly the 10
No, you're the biblical scholar that's saying things are happening. So
Yeah.
I'm interviewing you right now.
well, some scholars are saying that it's possible that the 10 beasts, not the 10 heads of the
10
beast,
headed, yeah.
yeah, that's not going to be 10 rulers of 10 nations. That's going to be 10 CEOs of 10 huge organizations that run the entire world.
Oh, that's fun.
It's an interesting thought.
Sure. Okay, so let's go to seal 1 then.
Okay, so seal 1 is the conquering one. So seal 2 then, the breaking of seal 2 is war. It says, "Another red horse went out, and to him who sat on it, it was granted to take peace from the earth and that men would slay one another, and a great sword was given to him. So this is somebody who's been given the authority to proclaim war, and that's been going on forever. We've been killing people forever.
That's right.
And now war is escalating on every front, but it's always been escalating. But it's escalating on every front. You hear that all the time. So then the third one is the seal that's broken, and that's the seal of famine. And here specifically, you won't even be able to buy wheat unless you have a day's wages. And so this is probably even worse than the Depression back in the day. So any thoughts on this,
Ralph.
Ralph?
You guys don't like my opinion.
Yeah, we do. We like to
Tell
poke
us.
we like to poke holes in your opinion, Ralph.
Tell us,
Yeah.
Eye of Horus.
What's going on in California there?
Wow, you're in on it too now? Okay.
It's 4 against 1 now, Ralph.
Well, I think I told you before, but you guys have heard of Bohemian Grove, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's like 6 miles from my house.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
I
you-
have the inn.
Well, yeah, but you've never been in.
I've been by it.
Okay, that's
See?
close enough.
Anyway,
Better than we have.
Is that why you have
No,
that
so
bruised
it-
left eye?
I think it's real easy to get caught up in this stuff. And like Brian, you've known me for a long time. You know, like you're the devil that got me onto Alex Jones for a sad part of my life. But
I thought I was.
honestly, like I personally got way too tied up in all the conspiracy theories and like even the news and stuff. I don't watch the news anymore because it's like too much drama for me. And that's that old saying that ignorance is bliss is true to a point. You don't want to be so ignorant that you don't know what's going on, but at the same time, like even just the general news seems to be like trying to stir up emotion and frantic, like whatever, like all the time. So I find that if I worry more about my personal life and my my relationship with my family and God and stuff like that and all this other stuff isn't going to matter, because even if it is true, like if you're good with God, you're good, but that being said, since I'm not really answering the question, could this be the third seal? I think it could be, but I'd like to do more study and to see like when Jerusalem gets attacked and saved by God. Is that before or after the seals, or is that the war they're talking about in the second seal?
Yeah, that would be at the seals are first, then we have the trumpets, and then we have the bowl judgments. Now, some people who look at Revelation would say that the seals, the trumpets, and the bowls are all the same exact things happening. They're just showing intensities and different angles of the same exact thing happening. And then some people say that there's actually 21 different events that they gear up in the seals, and then there's 7 more events in the trumpets, and then there's 7 more events in the bowls.
That has to do if you think that Revelations 1 through 12 is just a rehashing 12 through 24, right?
Right.
So if you take that viewpoint, then yeah, there's overlapping on what these
Right.
things are doing.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the whole Jerusalem being surrounded by their enemies and Christ coming back and his foot touching the Mount of Olives, which is actually Zechariah 12 and 13, where you get that prophecy from. But all that stuff happening, the Great War of Armageddon, that all is going to happen after this that we're talking about, I believe. Jim, do you have any thoughts on that? Okay. All right. And so here's the thing. I don't want anybody to be fearful either, because obviously in Christ we have a Savior and a Redeemer who has this whole thing planned out, and he knows. I don't want anybody to be fearful. I'm just asking if there's any thoughts, if we have any thoughts that we might be in this time. And of course, we could be. Obviously, anybody could say, yeah, we could be. But I'm just looking at the framework of everything going on with the world leaders that are coming together. I mean, I haven't been around for the last 200 years. I've only been around for 49 years. But when I look back in history, it appears that there's never been a time like this.
Oh, no.
And now we're seeing this whole famine thing, not famine, but we're seeing this food shortage problem. We're seeing countries hoarding certain types of food.
We're seeing certain groups of people who want to rule the world over others.
Right.
and possibly mass kill strike.
Right. We're seeing a censorship of, and this obviously is not just in America, but it's been going on all over the world for a while. But
Well,
we're
it
seeing a
didn't
censorship.
used to happen here.
Right. It didn't used to
Now it
happen here.
is. Now it is happening here.
So now the one place that maybe we felt like people were defending the rights of the needy and the afflicted, there was one place that we felt like maybe someone could do that, and that was in the United States. Even those rights are being taken away, that now you don't even have the ability to fight
Our
for the
president
needy.
is actively calling for social media to mute people
Right.
in a speech.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
You saw that, right?
I did hear that.
Yeah. He was calling on social media to put a stop to the false information.
False information.
And you have to ask, well, who's defining that?
Right.
Yeah.
And there's one team of people, one
You know what's
administration.
funny? And we as the American people were like, hey, let your fruit be your forbearance of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
We now, we can't do that because we're obviously now being governed by a narrative, and that narrative is false.
Mm-hmm.
And once you see a lie, you dismiss it.
Right.
So we never before have we asked people, like, if you were Jim Jones saying crazy things, you might take, a few hundred people out with you, but there's going to be people who are like, no, that Jim Jones, he's crazy.
Right.
He's insane. You
Right.
don't listen to him because, it's false.
Right.
So you have the ability to just let a message stand on its own. That's
Right.
how freedom of speech works.
Right.
If somebody comes along talking crazy, he's going to lead a few.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have a few followers. But for the most part, when people see that it's crazy talk, it gets dismissed as crazy talk.
Right.
That's the thing. Crazy talk now is not so crazy.
Crazy talk now is sanctioned. Crazy talk now is the truth. They want that to be the truth. Well, the only way you get lies and crazy talk to be the truth is to silence those who actually bring truth.
Right. Right. That's a tough
Hey, Matt,
Yeah.
real quick. This is totally off subject, but you brought up Jim Jones, and I rarely get to break out any Jim Jones jokes.
I love Jim Jones jokes. What do you got?
All right. Who was the greatest boxer of all time?
one. I'm thinking it was Jim Jones.
Jim Jones.
No. Muhammad Ali.
No, not Muhammad Ali. Jim Jones. Who else do you know took out 909 people with one punch?
That's good.
That is a good Jim Jones
That's
joke.
good.
That's interesting.
So let me just go back here, because then the very next seal that's going to be open is the seal that brings death. And it says in verse 8 of chapter 6 of Revelation, I looked and behold an ashen horse, and he who sat on it had the name Death, and Hades was following him. Authority was given to them over a fourth of the earth to kill with the sword and with famine and with pestilence and by the wild beasts of the earth. So there, the death is going to come from sword or war, famine, pestilence, and then wild beasts of the earth. Now, when you get to the trumpets, which are right after this, the seventh seal is opened, and then when the seventh seal is opened, you have these trumpets that come following. And so some of these trumpets now play off of what we are hearing, and then things just seem to get worse. So you have these things that come out of this bottomless pit, and all of a sudden now they're bringing forth this stuff. So I think there's a spiritual thing going on here. We're seeing some physical manifestations, but there's a bigger spiritual war that's happening as well. Brandon?
There's people hearing the trumpets across the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
There are people that report that they hear trumpets.
And I've heard some good audio of them. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. I was at a funeral once and I heard a trumpet. Or is that a bugle?
Trumpet.
Trumpet.
I mean, it can be a bugle,
But usually they use a
usually
trumpet.
is a trumpet.
Yeah.
It's good, Brian.
I know.
It's good.
All right.
Really bringing some content.
So, I mean, obviously we could say, yeah, it could be, but they could have said that during World War II, and they thought, Hitler was the Antichrist and all these kind of things. And
My boss told me a funny Jew joke the other day.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not bad.
okay.
Is Marshall listening?
I don't know exactly how it goes, but
Oh, well, then maybe because you're just going to slaughter it.
I probably will.
Well, let's save it for next week.
Okay. That's not bad though.
I don't know any jokes today.
How do you get copper wire?
Oh, come on, that's bad.
No, it's not.
Is it bad? Have you heard it?
Yeah, it's two Jews found a penny at the same time.
Yeah.
That is bad. I mean, that's funny. That's funny for anybody.
Except for the Jew. That's racist.
Well, I don't even, but that's just funny because of the idea. You could say that about a Silicon Valley, person.
You know what I love?
Two people from Silicon Valley.
That won't, like, as long as we tell Jew jokes, we won't be censored. We'll be fine.
You probably won't.
Our anti-Semitic overlords are fine with all of it.
Listen,
Look
if
at
you
the
can,
dog.
What's Ralph doing? Is he running away?
Ralph,
I'm fixing my dog.
He's got a
All right.
dog there.
I am glad to see that you changed your background to go with your hat and your clothing.
Yeah, it's better.
Thank you. I
Nice
did
look-
that just for
nice
you since you
looking
didn't want me to
dog.
be at the beach.
It's a nice looking dog.
Well, listen, if we're not censored, at least all the conservative people will probably turn us off after you just made that joke about Jewish people. So,
That's hilarious.
but listen, you remember? Do you remember back in the day when the Polak jokes were always bad,
Yeah.
making fun of Polish people?
I didn't think they were bad though.
They weren't. Yeah. And then
Especially
you,
in Cleveland. There's a lot of
Polish
Polish people
people.
in Cleveland.
Yeah, I got some Polak in me. That's fine. Go for it.
and then for me, the blonde jokes really bothered me because of my hair color back in the day.
You think you're blonde?
I don't think, Ralph. I identify as a blonde male. And if I identify as a blonde male.
a not bald male. Guess what?
All right, so if we get back into this whole thing in Revelation, then store shelves starting to look bare. These things happening. People are reporting this on different coasts. Supply and demand. Supply is down. Demand is still up. Maybe we're walking into some really tumultuous times. So the key here is that throughout the book of Revelation, Jesus continues to call people to himself to repent. Because whether times get bad or whether times get good. So if this whole thing turns around, say for instance Hillary Clinton becomes president in 2024 and everything turns around, okay? And all of a sudden now gas is $1 a gallon and we're all living on the high life. Without Jesus Christ as your Lord and your Savior and without him as your first love, you have no hope in this life or the life to come.
Yeah.
So whether or not this is the end time scenario starting to unfold before our eyes or whether it's not, people need to get serious about following Jesus.
Right.
That's right.
Big time.
That'll be right to the end.
Yeah, right. And the whole rapture thing, I mean, I kind of sometimes hope the rapture people are correct. But when I read scripture, I'm not so sure whether we are going to be raptured out beforehand. I'm not sure where that's going to happen. But if it doesn't happen, I also think people that are banking on the rapture need to understand, too, that if suffering comes for the Christian, we are called to faithfulness. We are not called to run a different vein and figure this whole thing out on our own. We are called to listen to the truth of Scripture and walk in faithfulness of our Lord and Savior.
Could I just
Go ahead.
have a thought about
Jump in.
the rapture?
Yeah.
Whenever I talk to rapture people and they have money, I ask them to leave their doors unlocked and the keys in their nice cars.
That's a good thought.
Yeah.
I never thought about asking that, but I would agree.
Yeah. Well, because I would like to maybe come across a Porsche or a Corvette.
Yeah.
I mean, and since you're raptured, I would like to drive it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least have one great hurrah.
I think it's a good
And
idea.
use their pool, like if they've got a pool. Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind
Leave a
if
good bottle of bourbon in the glove
Yeah, leave a
box.
good bottle of bourbon in the glove box.
So Matt, I have a question with this. So in your ideal world where there's a rapture pre-trib, you're not being raptured?
Oh no! See, I don't believe in the pre-trib rapture. That's why. That's why this is my request to pre-trib rapture people.
Got it.
leave me your fine things. Let me know.
And hopefully they're
I
preppers.
think it's personally going to be a mid-trib or post-trib, but if it is pre-trib, I'm hoping I'm part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who, Matt, was it you that said that, what's the guy's name that died here not too long ago? The scholar guy. He said something about if I do have to go to hell, I hope that
R.C. Sproul.
R.C. Sproul. What did he say about that?
He said there's two kinds of people in hell. There's wailers and gnashers of teeth. And so, if God doesn't find to take me home to his kingdom and I end up in hell, I hope I'm a wailer, because the wailers are going to be like, I missed it. I was so close. I love you, God. I will be in hell saying, I love you, God, and crying because I missed it. Because the gnashers of teeth are just angry and bitter, and now they're scoffing at God.
Wow.
I thought that was fun.
I mean, I think that's a pretty interesting statement.
That is.
I mean, because I've thought about this as well. Like, if God sends me to hell, which he has every right to do, which I don't believe he will because of Christ.
Right.
But if he did send me to hell, I would have no other thing other than to say, I deserve this. You still are God. You still are Lord. Even
Yeah.
if I was in hell. I've thought that.
You are just.
Yeah.
So I guess this is where I am.
I mean, it would be terrible. I know that. I've had thoughts of being separated from God, and it is not pleasant.
No.
But yeah, that's terrible.
But I mean, a man like R.C. Sproul saying those things makes you think about your life.
Yeah. So, any more thoughts on that? We can kind of we can kick that to the curb then. Everybody's okay with maybe food shortages, could be talking about this seal being opened, but we'll wait and see, right?
It's all coming to a head. The petri dish full of bacteria, something comes along and wipes out most of it. Mm-hmm. We're just filling up the petri dish.
Yeah.
We're starting to crawl over the sides. So
Right.
It's time.
So, I don't know. So here, this is part of my other thing. Like, I do think things are pretty bad.
How would you know? You don't watch any news.
How would I know what? That
The
things are pretty bad?
Yeah.
Because I live in the world.
Yeah, but you said ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, I still have to deal with people.
All right, go ahead.
But anyway,
You get it first.
I will say that, like, every generation since, the time where people lived with Jesus in the physical form has thought end times were going to happen in their lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like we need to be prepared either way. Like, if it is the end times, we do need to be prepared. But if it's not, we also need to be prepared to, like, still store away, like, retirement and, like, raise the next generation. And you know what I mean? Like, I think it's good to have these talks and to have these opinions, for sure. And someone needs to have the discussion. But I just don't think we should be like certain about anything. We should always be expecting God, but
So I mean,
Also
but we never, at least in this country, Ralph, historically, other than the Civil War, do you think, and that I think that was a different kind of divided. The country seems super polarized, and I don't think it's. I think we're now polarized over loving the God of this world or loving the God of heaven. That's where our polarization is. The Civil War was, the South wanted to be its own country. That was materialistic fighting. This is, as far as I'm concerned, you love the God of this earth or you love the God of heaven, and the line is being drawn. Is that dramatic? Is that too dramatic?
I think that there's some truth to what you're saying, but I don't think that's the main difference. Because, like, I would say personally, when you're talking about the division in this country, it's a lot of it is political. It's like Republicans versus Democrats or conservatives
No,
versus.
they make it political, and I forgive you because you have no idea what I'm talking about because you don't watch the news. But they are literally trying to now make normal. They've made homosexuality normal. They're literally now trying to make normal pedophilia. Like, there are people going to bat for pedophiles. And to me, that is a love a God of this world. I do not love the God of heaven problem. we have never had, we have leadership that loves Satan, and it's never been more obvious.
How much do you want to bet they'll come out with a pill for that?
Well, they are already talking about how
Pedophilia.
What
You
to
can't-
love Satan?
no, the pedophilia. They are saying so. The defense is you're born that way. It's the same thing they did with the homosexuals. You're born that way. You can't help it, and it's not all bad. Right now, they're saying don't act on it. We're telling you how to control it. But that's a step away from we have to accept it. It's a normal life. It's the same playbook they did. Like we're just doing it again.
Yeah.
But now it wasn't bad enough to be a sodomite. Now it's to the children, and that's not politics. I'm sorry, it's not politics.
Not to mention now, I think if I've heard right, that this new scapegoat is the Muslims who are now getting the whole sex trafficking thing pinned on them. That they are now the ones that are selling and trafficking the kids. It's not
Hollywood.
It's not Hollywood.
It's not the
or
politicians. It's not the elite. No,
it's the Muslims
Heavens, no.
now.
Yeah.
So now they're starting to go down that vein of passing it on and using the Muslims as scapegoat, which that's going to turn ugly, because you know what happened when they started blaming the Muslims for terrorism.
Yeah.
And so it's a mess. I mean, and I think you're right. I think there is a spiritual warfare that is happening where men have decided they love themselves and they love wealth more than they love God,
They love the God of this world.
and they've sold their souls to the devil.
Yeah.
Ralph, I got a question for you.
I got an answer.
Do you think our U.S. military would turn on the American people?
What do you mean? More specifically, like
Like
what
if there
way
was-
would they turn?
You know, if there was like a new world order thing, or do you think a lot of them would follow that and take orders and, kind of be like Australia right now, or do you think a lot of them would say no?
So, based on what I know right now, I think enough people would follow orders blindly that it would
Be problematic.
be enough to like if you're talking about like taking over the guns from people.
Well, not only
Um,
that, it's just, everything.
Well, I'm just saying that's what kind of what it depends on. But I was just going to use that as an example. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of constitutional supporters in the military that if we had to, like, if Joe Biden said we're going to take guns from every American, we're going to come in the middle of the night and we're going to take them because of some mass staged murder like Sandy Hook, right? So I think that a good portion would refuse to do it and just get chapped out of the army. Very few would actually fight and do something, but the ones that are left would be enough to get the job done. Is that a good answer?
That's good enough, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't even know if they're coming first for the guns. Like, what if, like in Australia, they show up at your door and take your kids or you to a thing because you didn't do that medical procedure
Thing.
that they
The
wanted you to
jab.
have. Yeah.
You didn't get the Fauci ouchie.
Yeah. So those are the kind of things that I'm thinking like come first. Like, so I talked to someone that I know that works at the Cleveland Clinic, and he said cases in the clinic were up like 57%. He said they were at like 57% capacity. Now 57% is not like overflowing, right?
No.
But 57% is high. Like that's a lot of beds filled. That's a lot of stuff going on. But from my understanding, the National Guard has come in to help them and some other hospitals, and the narrative or the story is that what's going on here is that cases are so high that we need the National Guard and the military to come in and help us.
But what's really
But he just told me that actually the cases now are down in the last week or two. They're down 37%, and they seem to be dropping. But yet the National Guard's still there. They're still there helping. What's really happening is people aren't going to work, or they're not there because they've either been fired, or they're not going in because they're quarantined, or they just quit for whatever purposes.
that's
So
an
they're
issue.
understaffed.
Well, that's an issue, too, because everyone's going to be government raised now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do they
Not
gonna
now.
have-
It's been that way.
Well, I mean, with everybody
people-
quitting,
Yeah. If they're
Yeah.
out of work, where are they going to get their money to live?
Right. Right.
That's
Right. And famine doesn't necessarily have to just be food shortage. You can not have a job and not have any money and, not be able to get food.
well,
So how are you going to feed everybody?
Sarah told you about the coolers out there. Remember with her sister?
Oh, yeah, but you might want to share.
They were saying that they had so many deaths, they just had semi trucks with the coolers for people because there was no
Where?
place to put them. Cleveland. Her sister works out there.
Okay.
Saw all that firsthand, which is pretty interesting.
It's interesting, but where are all the
I
people
still
to
want to
fill
know.
them?
Well, listen, I still want to know where those people vaccinated. No one will tell you.
You won't be able to find out.
No, you're not going to be able to. No. Was Bob Saget? Did he die from vaccination?
Yeah, we have no
That's
idea.
weird. He died in a hotel, just
Well,
like
they said-
everybody else.
They said there was no foul play, so I believe them.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, because Epstein, he hung himself. There's no. That's just he just
Yeah,
did
it
that.
just happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
That was
believe it.
COVID, actually. It was on the books for COVID.
I tell you what, we already got run off of Facebook because I've been posting pictures that I wasn't supposed to be posting.
Yeah, right?
Supposedly, that's the accusation, and we're gonna get kicked off of YouTube here in a second.
Well, that's why me and Matt are leaving the church.
Oh,
We are?
because of what I posted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Are you sweeping?
What's going on, Ralph?
Are you vacuuming your house?
Have they come?
No, that's my wife. She's doing her smoothie.
Oh, what's in the smoothie? I'm always interested.
Fruit and protein powder.
That costs like $37 now.
Mm-hmm.
One
No,
fruit
it's not-
smoothie.
It's about $50.
wow.
For what? A 2-pound thing of protein powder?
No, for the fruit.
A quart of blueberries is about $50.
Yep.
No, it's not. How much is it seriously?
I don't know. I will tell you. You were saying the thing about Aldi's, and I don't know how much things cost here, but I know it's a lot because like we go in with those little carry shopping baskets. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And we won't even fill it up. We'll leave. It's like $150.
What? That's
Yeah,
nuts.
for real.
That's nuts.
It's just Steph and me, just two of us,
Yeah.
and we our grocery bill every month is probably $1,000.
Wow.
Wow. We probably run around $800 a month, and I've got a 21-year-old, a 16-year-old, and my wife, and then me. My wife doesn't eat a whole lot, but the two boys eat enough for both of us. That's for sure. So that's crazy out there.
Yeah.
Well, so we keep running this vein and stuff because I think that these seals and these trumpets and these bowls, I think not only are they being poured out, but they're being poured out in a way where right now they seem to manifest themselves in just your basic political and cultural things like store shelves not being full, power-hungry people maybe taking control of certain things and taking rights away from people. But I think as it ramps up, you're going to see this spiritual thing come to play because later on in Revelation, it talks about some really crazy spiritual stuff beginning to happen. And as those spiritual things start to happen, I think then people's eyes are going to start to get open to, hey, we're going to have to make some choices here. And when that starts to happen, I think the time is near as a Christian.
Yeah.
I don't know what the world's going to be thinking. So there is, just to throw us out here, there is some discussion, and I just heard it today on a clip from The Five on Fox News just the other night. But one of the guys on there had made a comment that if Biden is going to have any hope to get us out of here or to redeem anything, he's going to have to convince people that something else is there, and one of the things he chose was that aliens have landed and we've made contact with them. He chose to use that. Now that sounds really stupid that he would choose to use that, but the reason I say that is because some people are saying that now that this whole disease pestilence
This thing has run its course.
the next thing to come is aliens.
And why?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Save us.
No, go ahead.
And because NASA has just developed a team of 24 theologians who will be discussing and brainstorming about how we share our faith and how we reconcile our faith differences with aliens from another
Well, why
planet.
are we going to have the narrative of aliens?
To bring it, probably to bring an antichrist or a savior.
Well, no, we have to have the narrative of aliens because nobody trusts anybody in Washington.
Okay.
We don't trust our leadership in the whole world any longer.
So we need our leadership to look to somebody that's going to rule all of us.
Yes, and since we want to ignore Jesus, we're going to believe in aliens / demons.
Yeah. Have you noticed Tucker Carlson?
Yeah?
You know,
Right?
he started bringing up aliens.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so it's more than
Tucker's
just.
killing it.
Well, I mean, I thought it was, that was a surprise. He said we should really find out.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and they've obviously divulged some of these files. They've declassified these files. The files really haven't told a whole lot, from my understanding.
No.
But what's interesting is you've got these ex-military people now that have been interviewed, and they're literally saying, "Listen, we know these things have visited us." And most of these guys are saying they're not from other countries, and some of these guys would go so far as to say they're interdimensional or they're not from this world. So when you get language like that of people who are not crazy, you know that something's getting ready to hit the stage.
This is the end. The
And,
end, my friend.
the South Pole. Have you heard that?
I have heard
No,
stories about the South Pole.
And who was the guy in the 50s? He flew into the hole, and it
Yep.
turned out to be a big,
Yeah.
city down inside the earth, and they were very,
Right. Right.
further ahead than we are.
Right.
So,
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you believe Revelation, okay. Now I know that we could say, well, that's conspiracy theory, but if you believe Revelation, there is a time coming when out of the earth there is a pit, and out of the earth will come locusts, and Apollyon will come out of the earth, and these locusts will come, and they will torment men for 5 months on the earth who have the mark of the beast. And so, I mean, the Bible is telling us things, and we're seeing things on the earth, and we're hearing things, and most people are going, that's just science fiction, it's just conspiracy. And that's one of the reasons why the supernatural view of the Bible has been thrown away, because people don't want to believe that this stuff actually could happen or is going to happen. It's crazy.
I've been thinking, like, going all the way back to Abraham.
Yeah.
And when God spoke to him, he said, "In you, all the nations of the earth will be blessed."
Uh-huh.
But he started with the Jews.
Uh-huh.
So they had from, I think it was around 2000 BC when he appeared to Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
So the Jews, went until 70 AD. That's when they totally rejected the Messiah that was promised to them.
Right.
Right. So that was the time of the Jew. So from 70 AD until
2001, September 11th.
exactly, that's the time of the Gentile, roughly 2,000 years.
Wow.
The Jews had their 2,000,
Yeah.
and it appears that we've had ours.
Mm-hmm.
And now, what happened in 2001?
Well, George Bush allowed the pillars of Masonic symbolism in the United States to be crushed, opening up the doors of the United States to the spirits of the world.
What's interesting, there's an Illuminati game that they came out with in 1994, a card game.
Uh-huh.
And I want you to bring that card up real quick.
Why? There's a card? Does it show the Twin Towers going down?
It shows Trump on there as president.
What?
1994. Just type in Illuminati card game. Towers.
How do we know this card's real? Do you have a copy? I need an original copy of this card.
No, it's a whole set. It's a game.
Okay. And it came out in when? 1994?
94.
All right. Jim,
Speaking,
while he's looking that
Excuse
up,
me.
Jim, go.
yeah, speaking of the, 9/11.
Yeah.
That the thing that was hit was called the World Trade Center.
Right.
Now,
You can
that's
just go to
where
images.
the world basically
Like on
met.
Google.
You know, like your United Nations.
Right. Right.
All right. So it's like God was saying to the world
Right.
The
that
terrorist
something's changed.
at?
Right. Right.
down on
And,
the left.
and if the Jews had
Terrorist
their
nuke.
2,000 years,
Right.
How
then
wild's that?
it's like, okay, you've had your time,
Right.
Oh, wow.
and we've come to the place where the Jews were maybe in 70 AD,
Right.
where they've totally
Right.
rejected
Right.
the Messiah.
Yeah.
See?
Look at this card.
Hey, no.
Yeah, 94.
That card was the 1990s card game, the predicted 9/11
Look at
down-
this.
quarantine.
Type in Donald after tout.
No,
Back-
I want one in my hand, and I need to be able to know
It's
that
a
it was
whole
made in
game.
'94.
The whole set's like $600, but
Well, of course it is.
look at the Pentagon
Huh.
Where's it at?
right there, down.
What is this one?
Let's go to fact checker.
No, stop it.
Let's go to fact checker because fact checker always tells us that this is a conspiracy.
Matt, click back on towers, backspace towers. Type in Donald Trump.
Look at this, conspiracy theorists.
There's Fauci.
That's supposed to be Fauci.
I don't know, but go to
Hold on, I'm scrolling down. I'm hoping to find it. I'm hoping it'll come up.
look at food, the food one
Where's the food
Up.
one?
right there to the right. What's that say?
Ah! Fast food chains? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I don't know what that one is.
It's obviously a thing.
So you could buy that card for $11.
Yeah, but the whole set's like $600.
Wow.
All right. I need to look up Trump.
Yeah, just backspace towers, then type in Donald Trump.
So how could we seriously, like, we're just gonna have to ask Joe Rogan to do this because he seems to be able to do it. But how could we figure out if this was really made in 1994?
That's
This
not-
game.
It says right on the card.
Well, I know, but you could print it. I could make you up a card right
It's
now.
a whole set. The game was made in 94, and they came out in 94.
Head in a
Yeah.
jar.
Right
There's a
there.
Hillary Clinton card.
Go down.
That's when she was younger.
Right there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that definitely.
Yeah.
So right there, that the New World Order Illuminati box, that's the box the cards came in. Actually, Marshall has a whole set of this.
Does he really?
So if that's true, then how are you guys going to stick up for Trump when the Illuminati's the one that put him in power?
Listen, he's back in the shot. I'm over it. Trump's a dump. I'm voting for Tucker Carlson.
I think I'm gonna. I don't know who I'm voting for.
Listen, Trump was a Fabian socialist. So, like, his usefulness is run out.
Well, what Jim was saying about 9/11 in 2001, and Matt, what you said so eloquently about the spiritual stuff, I can't.
Okay,
even
so
rephrase
listen,
it.
I'll go back. So when you go to a Masonic lodge, you enter between two pillars, which has to do with going to the Tomb of Solomon. And there's 9 layers of the Tomb of Solomon, and down in the basement there was the pillars and the books of knowledge and the da-da-da. So that's why they have these obelisks and pillars of, and that's what the World Trade Center was. The World Trade Center. It was the 2 pillars that marked the entryway in New York City from the East Coast. It marked the entryway to the United States.
Okay.
So when you were entering into the land of the Illuminati or the Masonic Order.
Right.
And so George Bush, being from that order and realm, remember when he
Skull
talked
bones.
after he knocked down the towers? He didn't, well, the terrorists, whatever. But then he made the speech about the spirit, the whirling of the spirit winds,
Yeah.
and over the Middle East and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
That was their talk or their speak
Right.
to bring in the spirits that they see controlling the world and
Right.
that they manipulate
Something about riding on the wind.
on the
of something.
whatever it was the speech he made from the carrier.
Yeah.
You cannot deny that ever since then, we have been on this downward spiral
right.
into spiritual depravity.
Oh yeah.
Like, some people say it's as bad as when God says he would be given over to a depraved mind.
Right.
Well, when that time ended, we've been giving ourselves over to the depraved mind.
Yeah, and I would agree.
Yeah,
Matt.
it's impossible to know. It's impossible not to notice. I
Right.
mean, you can wear a hat with the Eye of Horus on it and laugh about it. I mean, you obviously know.
And pretend like it's just a seagull.
Yeah, and tell me that it's just a seagull.
Seahawk.
Here-
It's a Seahawk.
I mean, I don't know what football team would want to have a seagull as their mascot.
That's even
Steven,
just being called Browns and then your color's orange.
Because there is no really anything such as a Seahawk, right? They're
No,
actually
we have
a seagull.
a mascot Seahawk.
I know, but it's actually a seagull. Let's just face it.
No, it's a hawk.
It's those white birds that hang around Walmart parking lots.
It's brown actually. Anyway, I was actually just thinking, Matt. You guys are jerks. When you were talking about that speech that Bush made from the carrier, is that the one where he claimed victory?
yes, and he
we
said
were like still losing for like a long time after that.
yes, and he also said because the victory was in the spiritual realm, not
Yeah, it was Illuminati victory, not
Yes.
an American one.
Yes, exactly. That all was cryptic. That whole thing was. Did you just say ridiculous? I will shut you off.
No, I said conspiracy theorists.
Here's the thing, though. Conspiracy,
You don't have to believe it, Ralph. They do.
Yeah, they do believe it, and they're worshiping this stuff. I mean, it's clear that they worship this stuff. I mean, how was it? 47 of however many of the signers of the Declaration of Independence were Masonic.
Right. And that they're saying that's how.
But Masonic, whatever, and all those different groups that were around back then, that was like Facebook of today. Like it was just a social group that everyone was.
Nah.
That's what they'd have
Kinda
you
like
believe.
They believe that
Ralph,
stuff.
Ralph, they wholeheartedly
You're
believe
on
that stuff.
Facebook.
That's what they wholeheartedly believe that stuff.
That would be like saying that the Canaanites, when they sacrificed babies, that was the Facebook of the Canaanites. They did that stuff because they believed that they
Ralph.
were worshiping gods.
Ralph, you said
Do
around
you
back
think that
then.
the Masons sacrificed babies?
We abort babies.
We
We do it in a different way now.
Yeah, we do it in a different way. Now, I'm not saying Masons. No. Please don't hear me say that Masons are going around aborting babies. However, they might be.
But
I don't know.
Listen. It brought it to be.
Yeah.
That part of our nation has brought it to be.
Right.
We are sacrificing babies. We're not throwing them on a hot skillet altar. That's the difference.
Legally.
Yeah, legally.
Yeah, we're doing it legally now. Go ahead, Jim. Jim's got
Okay.
something.
Well, I was thinking, Jesus said that what was it? Jerusalem will be trodden down by the Gentile until the time of the Gentile is fulfilled.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now 9/11 could be like a foreshadowing of this. Okay.
Okay.
But it's still focused on what Jesus said, okay? And he said, initially in 70 A.D. They'll fall by the edge of the sword and be led captive into all the nations, and Jerusalem was the key. Even Daniel 9 speaks about that.
Okay.
Okay. So Jerusalem will be taken over, if you will, by the Gentile until the time of the Gentile is fulfilled. Okay. Now in 48, there was no nation, there was nothing. They didn't even have a language until about 1890, I think, is when this guy said, the Jews should have a language, we should get back to Hebrew.
Okay.
And they started developing that in the early 1900s.
Okay.
So all of a sudden now, 48, Truman comes along and says, hey, maybe we should give them a little piece of land over there.
Uh-huh.
So they got the land and they got part of the city of Jerusalem. And then 1967, the 6-Day War, they got the rest of the city.
Yep.
1980, they made it their capital, but it was still controlled by the Gentile. So I think, who was it, Reagan, and then the next one, and the next one, all the way to Obama. Every one of them said, oh, yeah, it should be the capital. We should
But
recognize.
they never did it.
But they never did it. But who did it?
Yeah,
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Right.
Okay. Now in what was it, 17? 17 December. It came up for a vote, and I think 126 countries voted against it, and 9 countries voted for it. Okay, but it was too late because Trump had already got.
Well, we moved our embassy there.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
that wasn't. Yeah, that was in early 2018.
Okay.
And it was May 14th of 2018 that it was declared the capital of the nation by the leading of the Gentile world, which is the United States,
Right.
or Donald Trump.
Right.
Okay, so in 2018, the 2000 almost 2,000 year prophecy that Jesus gave in 38 A.D., he said, Jerusalem will be controlled by the Gentile until the time of the Gentile is fulfilled. So really, the time of the Gentile was fulfilled in May 18th of 2018.
Okay.
Okay, and the First Baptist of Dallas, Texas, Trump got him to do the official, when we declared it, or recognized it, if you will, as the capital of the nation of Israel.
Okay.
We sent him, and he gave the invocation, and we had the ceremony, and now it's recognized by the Gentile world, which fulfills Jesus' prophecy in 30 A.D.
Okay.
So, looking at the thing biblically, instead of looking at all of this stuff going on and all the demonic stuff, if you get back to, okay, where are we according to what Jesus said would happen? We're right, the time of the Gentile now has been fulfilled, okay? And Paul said there's a mystery involved here, that blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles come in, and then all Israel will be saved. In other words, they're going to recognize their Messiah.
Because they all took 4 shots and they're gonna die in mass. No. And the ones who are left over are gonna be like, there is a God.
Maybe it's
And
possible.
and there is a Jesus.
It's possible. Now, when
but
you say
no, you've got to go back now, because even roughly in the 50s,
right,
okay,
right,
there was a guy over in a Jewish fellow, and he said that you can count on one hand the number of Jews that believe in Jesus. That was in the 50s.
okay,
And now we've got messianic congregations in America, all over Israel,
right,
and different countries of the world.
right,
So the time of the Gentile
right.
is fulfilled.
And when it says all of Israel,
Well, that I think means all of the. See, we're part of Israel.
okay,
When you become when you become a believer,
Right.
you're part of Israel.
Right.
Do you see?
so really it's just all those
But
who
we're not
will
Jews.
believe.
But we're
Right.
not. But
In
we're
other
not
words,
Jews.
when God talked to Abraham, he said there's going to be, your posterity and the Gentiles.
Yeah,
So there's going to be some of everybody that's going to be part of Israel,
Yeah.
if you will.
Right. Very good.
So that's where we are, you know. Now, all of this stuff going on that's, you know, that you're running out of food, doing this and doing that. Okay, that obviously is sign of the fulfillment of
Trickle down.
what Jesus had said.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Okay, what's to come then? Heaven and earth will pass away,
Right.
but my word will not pass away.
Right.
So I'm looking for the pass away of the, you know,
Right.
the heaven and the earth.
Right.
And all of this is leading up to the. They think that they're going to take over the world or whatever.
Right.
You know, there's only one guy that's going to take over the world.
Right.
You see.
I really hope that Klaus Schwab is one of the ones that tries to pull the mountains on his head because
Yeah.
he's terrified.
Okay, so it might be, but listen, don't you think that all of these rulers of the world?
Look at Ralph's back.
Oh, that's nice, Ralph. I like that.
That's really good.
That's good, Ralph.
Are they moving?
So,
It's just you that's moving.
So here's what I was watching this. It's called End Time Productions. So if you get a chance to watch it, you can watch
Is this
some
on
of the stuff.
Skywatch?
They have had some of their stuff sold on there and stuff, but I think they're their own thing.
Okay.
But they did an interview with a gentleman who worked for something in the government or whatever, and this guy had overheard some stuff. And of course, I'm giving generalities because I don't remember the specifics of it. But he was either overhearing or in a conversation with some people where literally the governments and the rulers of the world are literally preparing for an intergalactic war that they believe against God, and they're fighting against God themselves. Now, if that's true, the Bible itself and in the book of Revelation talks about this great war that's going to come at the end of time. And if the whole alien phenomenon thing is a way to bring that about, then these aliens, according to this guy, these aliens were supposed to help them fight against God. Now, you could say that's conspiracy theory, that's crazy. Okay, well, maybe that is, but the Bible clearly says that all the nations of the world are going to fight against him. Every single nation is going to come together to fight against him. And you can see that there is a storyline that every single nation in our world today is trying to get everybody on one page. You can call it New World Order, you can call it whatever you want, but they're trying to get everybody on one same page, and that is what, Matt, you were alluding to earlier, and that is to hate God
Yes.
and to love this life.
Yes.
And that's what they're going after.
Yep. And they're hoping to be assimilated by AI.
If it works.
They want human 2.0.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's almost like that just bridges the gap between the physical and the spiritual.
beast.
Yeah.
You're just joining with the beast.
Like the AI, when the spiritual shows up, the AI will be like, oh, that's old news, that AI stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a little implantation. I'm going to be filled with, the spirit of demons and stuff.
right.
Ralph, are we talking silly today?
no, it's interesting stuff. But I do need to get going. I gotta get to work.
Okay.
Oh, you work down there in Tijuana?
Temecula.
Yeah, I gotta get people to try to join the army.
So they can take away our rights?
So they can come to my door.
I mean, that might actually be a good selling point in this area. I'll tell you what.
Hey, join up. We're going to go thump some skulls.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna go destroy the Constitution. Want to come?
Yeah.
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 Ralph, before you go though, is it not just the guns, but do you foresee like literally the government, because now we're seeing National Guard and stuff come into the hospitals.
He's not going to
and-
say yes.
Well, I know, but do you foresee them
One last
coming to our?
question. Yes.
All right, so they are going to come to our door and take us away.
I don't know. The National Guard's pretty weak. Like I wouldn't want to be associated with.
You
them.
want to listen, you want to know what I've noticed about the National Guard?
What's that?
It's full of foreigners. I have a reservist. Why is that funny? I have a reservist friend up in Washington. it's friends of ours' son who is in the National Guard. He just got deployed to like fight World War III that's coming in Ukraine, and his whole unit was made up of not Americans. Like they're out of 20 guys, there was 3 corn-eating USAians. The rest. So this is how the UN's gonna do it. Right. Like they're gonna. That's why they need these people overrunning our borders, because you come here, we give you stuff, get you established, and then you'll easily run over the people that were here already.
Yeah.
Like, Ralph isn't going to go door to door on red-blooded Americans, so we need somebody else too.
And Ralph, not that this is I don't know about this. I don't know if this is military. This is probably more of like a local type of thing, boots on the ground, like Obama wanted years ago. But within the last couple of days, I don't know if I don't remember exactly who it was, but I believe that now they're declaring that what Biden wanted to do 6 months ago is a done deal. They are preparing a new domestic terrorism task force or team, and I would think that they're going to target domestic terrorists as anybody that's against the administration or what they believe. And don't you doubt for a second that that's going to be coming for Christians eventually, because it's not going to be about all this medical stuff.
This goes back. See, this goes back to my point earlier. The only way you get there is from what I said. You choose the God of this world, or you choose the God of heaven and earth. Mm-hmm. And this is the start. This is like no other time that we've seen before. This isn't just a fight for territory or whatever. This is a fight for spirit. This is a spiritual fight. And politics is involved, but this is a fight for men's souls.
I never thought about it the way you just said that. It's not a fight for territory, and it's not anymore.
No,
because the wealthy people have all the territory.
They have all the territory.
They have what they want.
Yeah.
This is a fight for something totally different.
Yep.
Ralph, have you heard of that domestic terrorist team being put together or no?
I haven't, no. But I really don't watch the news anymore.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But hey, before I go though, real quick,
Yeah.
I would like to invite anybody that's listening and or on the show. Brian and I are going to be starting up a new podcast, and
I don't think you can promote. I don't think you can promote another podcast.
Don't
a seed
worry
podcast.
About it. You're not invited. Then you're uninvited. Consider yourself uninvited. So we're doing another podcast, and the first one. So we're going to talk about a theological topic each week, or each week that we do it. The first one's going to be whether sin was in the Garden of Eden before the fall of man.
That's what we're going to talk about. And it won't be a live thing. It'll be uploaded, so you'll be able to catch it. Like, it's not going to be something live. But
it'll be premiered, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll premiere it. So if you guys want in on it, you got to let me know.
Nah, I think we should let you two spiritual warriors go at it.
Trust me.
Cool.
You high-minded theologians.
Well, we were thinking of having different guests each time. You wouldn't be a regular, Matt.
I'm just gonna use the scripture text that Paul used, that sin entered the world through Adam.
I'm gonna be that.
Oh, I got one for you. Hold on. Where's Romans?
Oh man, here we
I'm
go.
gonna be a 7-year-old that you're like, will you go out there and play? Go play in traffic. Leave us alone.
Look at his Bible. Your Bible, because it's plain, it's covering up your face.
Yeah.
There you go. Perfect.
Nice. No, there's somewhere in Romans, and I know it's in chapter 5. Well, I think it's in chapter 5.
That was my guess.
I think line of the day is 2 Jews found a penny.
Here we go.
Pretty funny.
So I'll start at 12, but it's verse 13. Therefore, just as through one man sin entered into the world, and death through sin, and so death spread to all men because all sinned. For until the law, sin was in the world, but sin was not imputed when there was no law. That's kind of where I get it from. Sin was already there; it just wasn't imputed on man.
So are we gonna start your podcast now? Do you want me to?
No. I got to go to work.
Oh, okay.
But notice
I
that
wanted to give something to work off of.
All right, but in verse 12, sin didn't enter into the world. I mean, therefore, just as through one man sin entered into the world, it entered through the man, Adam.
That's right.
So it couldn't have been there prior.
But it just said that it was. We'll get into it.
Sin
Through
entered.
through one man, sin entered the world, and death
Yes.
through sin, and thus death spread to all men, because all had sinned. So it started with Adam. He had the choice.
where-
He had the choice.
That's where sin entered into humanity. Yes, absolutely.
You're saying it was floating around as a concept, or at least as a rebellion, because obviously Satan was in the garden before they sinned, and so therefore Satan is there, and so there's got to be at least the concept of sin is present.
That's my point. Yeah.
Okay, all right, we'll run that. Okay, I can play with some of that. All right,
Cool. All right, you guys have a good week.
You
all right,
too.
Ralph, head
Don't
on
work
out.
too hard.
Thank-
And there he goes, folks.
Okay, so Ralph is out. I don't know. Are we out too?
We can be.
I just think, real quick though, just to let all the viewers know that if the domestic terrorist task force does deem Christians because they are combative, here's the statements that are being talked about. That anybody that is combative against the government. So if the government comes in and says you can't meet on Sunday, or if the government comes in and says you can't name the name of Jesus, that means you're combative against the government, and this domestic task force will deem you as terrorists, and they will have every right to use force to come and either take you away or whatever. So I think there is a day quickly coming for the saints.
And a lot of churches will bow down to that because
They
they,
will.
won't fight back.
They will.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd say 95% of them.
And when you say bow down, some of them will just follow what they're doing, and then some of us will not follow, and we will probably be, found. Will be found in the minority to be suffering.
Our heads will be under the altar.
Yep.
We'll be like that movie where Russia came,
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn. I just watched that for New Year.
That's a good one.
It's a great movie.
So I think people need to start living life with their eyes wide open, not like Jim said though, not necessarily just taking in all the stuff that's happening, but we got to know Jesus as our Redeemer. If people don't know Jesus as the Redeemer, there's no hope, not in this life or the life to come. And man, we just got to get this message out of the gospel, because there's not a whole lot of time left. We got to get it out.
And a lot of this stuff being brought to light, the corruption and conspiracy things, it would make you want to have a Redeemer.
I would, yeah.
So a lot of people don't know about this stuff going on. They're blind to it.
And here's the thing, Brandon. Here's what's really sad is that we've got to get out the truth more, because there are a lot of people that exactly what you're saying. They are looking for a Redeemer.
Right.
The world's going to give them one. Problem is that's going to be the Antichrist.
Yep.
Yep. Well, on that note,
Have a good weekend
have a good weekend, everybody. We really appreciate you being here.
and enjoy having the day off Monday.
We'll
Those of you-
close with Eric Clapton, cocaine.
Monday.
Although
Monday, Martin Luther
lately
King.
I've been a bigger fan
Martin
of
Luther
Paul
King Day?
Cathan,
What was it?
Martin,
cocaine,
yeah.
and country dancing.
Go ahead.
I
Finish
think
out your thought. Well, we got an error report.